Hello, you're welcome to the Chem Lab Chemistry Lecture. My name is Christopher Akpogome. Today we're going to be discussing a very exciting topic, and it's titled Atoms, Molecules, and Ions. Now, before we talk about this topic, we need to first of all establish some certain ground rules, which are we're going to look at definition of what? Matter. Definition of matter. Now, in one of our lectures, you can check or you can look up our videos. We looked at the topic matter, we looked at properties, we looked at the changes matter undergoes, and some other things that pertains to matter, the states of matter as well. Now, we understand that matter is anything that has mass and occupy space. Matter is anything that has mass and occupy space. That's what we said matter is. If you go back to that our video where we talk about what matter. Said matter is anything that has mass and occupy space. Now, having said that, let's give another definition for matter. Matter is made up of discrete particles. Matter is made up of what? Discrete what? Particles. Now, you might be wondering, we said matter is anything that has mass and occupies space, and we're also saying that matter is made up of discrete what? Particles. Why is it like that? Well, we are saying the same thing. Let's look at it now. Matter is anything that has mass. Now, mass is actually what? Those things that make it up. Those things that make it up. Those things that make it up. So matter can be any object. Now, the things that we put together to arrive at that object, those things are what we call mass. And those things can also be called what? Discrete what? Particles. Okay? So, mass, discrete particles are the same thing. Okay? So, mass are the things that make up what? The matter. The things that were put together to make up what? The matter. While discrete particles are also what? Those things that were put together to make up what? The matter. Without which there will be no matter. Without which that object will not be what? Existing. Are we following? And of course, we said occupies what? Space. So I can add that matter is made up of different particles and occupy what? Space. Now, what we are basically looking at today is these discrete particles, this mass that we are talking about. What are they? What are they? So, the discrete particles are atoms, molecules, and ions. These are the discrete particles that make up what? Atoms. Or rather, that make up what? Matter. These are the discrete particles that make up what? Matter. We have atoms, we have molecules, and we have what? Ions. Now, let's look at these one after the other. Atom. Atom. Now, we have been singing this for a long time. We said atom is the smallest particle of an element which can take part in any chemical reaction. Atom is the smallest part of an element which can take part in any chemical reaction, or atom is the smallest particle of an element which can take part in any chemical reaction. Now let's take our mind back to what? English. You know, there's this particular statement people usually make. You have no atom of what? Respect. That is, you have no single respect. You don't have the smallest respect. That means you don't have any form of respect at all. So that can be likened to this atom, the smallest particle of what? An element. Now let's look at this. When you take bread, you know that kind of bread that when you cut, you will see some particles falling down. Huh? Good. Now listen, we are going somewhere. Now when I cut the bread, those particles that fall down, when I pick just one of it, that one is what? An atom of that what? Loaf of bread. That one that I pick out of those particles that fall, that one that I pick is what? An atom of that loaf of bread. When I bring all those ones together, they now form what? The bread. And remember we said that it is the particles that make up what? The object. That without the particles, that object will not be what? Formed, or that object will not come to what? Being. That's what we said. Isn't that so? Good. So an atom is the smallest particle of an element which can take part in any chemical reaction, and also it has the properties of that element. Because now if you cut the bread and the particles fall and you pick one, that particle, what will you call it? Is a particle of what? Bread. Isn't that so? You call it pieces of what? Bread. Isn't that so? We call it bread crumbs, right? So you notice that the bread is still in that what? Description of that what? Particle you picked up, right? So that's to tell you that the fact that it is the smallest part does not mean that it is not that object. It is still that object. Okay? Because it still has what? The characteristics of that object. When you taste that particle, what does it taste like? Does it taste like anything other than bread? It still tastes like bread. So are you getting it now? So atom is the smallest particle of an element which can take part in any chemical reaction. And let's add this, as we have explained, and has the chemical properties of the element. Okay, now let's look at some examples. Now we are familiar with the first 20 elements because they have actually taught that to us in what? Junior class 3. Now the first 20 elements we have, let's look at the first one, hydrogen. Now this is hydrogen, and the symbol for hydrogen, the chemical symbol for hydrogen is H. Now looking at this element hydrogen, the number of atoms in this element hydrogen is 1. So we have 1 atom of hydrogen. Now what if this hydrogen now, we now write it this way? What? Follow me now. We now have H2 with 2 written as a subscript. Now when we have H2 with 2 written as a subscript, what it automatically means is that we have 2 atoms of hydrogen. That is, hydrogen appear how many times? 2 times. Okay, so because it appeared twice, that means we have 2 atoms of what? Hydrogen. Is that clear? Okay, so it means that we can tell the number of atoms that an element is made up of by the subscript, the number that is written as a what? Subscript. Now, of course, it can also be written as, okay, let's just leave that. So by the number that is written as a what? Subscript. Okay, we can be able to tell the number of what? Atoms that that what element has. Okay, so having said that, let's move over to what molecule. Molecule. Now, what is molecule? Molecule is actually a group of what atoms. Okay, it's a group of what atoms. So when I take two or more atoms and bring them together, I have succeeded in forming what? A molecule. So let's see. So a molecule, this is made up of two or more atoms. This is made up of two or more atoms which has or maintain the chemical properties. You know, we said that atom still has the chemical properties of the element. Okay, so now when we now carry this element, this atom of hydrogen, and we carry hydrogen, and we carry, let's say you carry hydrogen and we carry oxygen. Let's say two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of what? Oxygen. We carry two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of what? Oxygen. We join them together. Now we have succeeded in joining how many atoms together? This is two atoms of H, and this is one atom of O. Now when we take this and join it together, remember how many atoms we have? We have 2 plus what? 1. We have 3 atoms. When we join 3 atoms together, we are forming a molecule. And what molecule are we forming? We are forming one molecule of what? Water. So 2 atoms, H2, 1 atom of what? Oxygen. So this is what? One molecule of water. So molecule is, or molecule usually pertains to what? Compound. So this H2 is a compound. A compound in the sense that it's made up of what? 2 or more what? Elements. So why atom pertains to what? Element. Molecule pertains to what? Compound. And compound we know has to do with what? 2 or more what? Element. Are we following? Now, for molecule, molecule can be group of atoms of the same element or group of atoms of different what? Elements. For example, now if you look at this H2 that we wrote here now, this H2 is one molecule of what? Hydrogen. Why do we call it molecule? Because it has up to what? 2 atoms. Although it is the same element, but it has up to what? 2 atoms. And we said that molecule is made up of 2 or more atoms. 2 atoms. That's what molecule is made up of. And so, because we have 2 atoms of hydrogen here, automatically this is a what? Molecule. But this one has only 1 atom, so this is what? An atom. Okay? Is that clear? So I'm just trying to tell you that molecule pertains to compound, but the compound is not necessarily that the compound must be made up of elements that are different. It could be the same element as in what? This that we have here, H subscript 2. Or it could be different element as this that we have here, H2O. Is that clear? Alright, so having said that, let's move over to the next, which is what? Ions. Now, in order not to make this class too long, I will look at ions in our next class and then we'll proceed from there as pertaining to this topic, atoms, molecules, and what? Ions. Thank you very much. Please click the subscribe button and subscribe to our channel so that you can always get notified of any latest videos that we might release. Thank you and have a nice day.